everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the virtual information session for the Masters in Curriculum and Instruction. My name is Tom Kresh. I will be our host for tonight. I'm our Director of Graduate Admissions at Commonwealth University. Really appreciate everybody taking time out of their busy schedule to join us. There's a lot of other things you could be doing right now, but you're choosing to spend your time with us to learn more about your experience in the Curriculum and Instruction graduate degree. So again, thank you very much. The event is being recorded. It should take between 30 and 45 minutes. And the recording will be posted online, I would say within the next couple of days or so. So whether you're joining us live or you're watching the recording again, thank you for learning more about the program. Before we go any further, though, if our co-hosts and panelists wouldn't mind introducing themselves, I would appreciate it. Dr. Haza, would you mind kicking us off?
Yes, hi, and thank you for attending tonight. My name is Jessica Hosley, and I coordinate the Master's Curriculum Instruction Program at Commonwealth U.
Great, thank you. And Dr. Haza, what's your area of research, your area of specialty?
Working with at-risk students, curriculum and supervision, and principal certification.
Okay, great, thank you. And Dr. Hasley.
Yes, I'm Dr. Nate Hosley, and I've been with the university for a number of years now, and I love teaching graduate courses. Um, uh, I've been teaching in the alternative ed graduate program for more than 20 years, and this new integration is really exciting, where we have a curriculum and instruction degree and an alternative education track.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Hosley. And then we're joined by three of our current students. So really excited to hear their perspective on the program. Rachel, would you mind next?
Hi, I'm Rachel Riley. I'm currently in the Master's of Curriculum and Instruction program with the track in alternative education. I'm a K-3 autistic support teacher in Williamsport. I have about 4 classes left in the program, so I'm excited to get to share our experience with you guys.
Great. Thank you, Rachel. And Kaylee.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I'm also in the Curriculum and Instruction graduate program with the track in alternative education. I also attended Lock Haven University for undergraduate studies as well. I teach third grade learning support at Denver Elementary, which is in Cocalico School District in Lancaster County. And just like Rachel, we're currently in 2 classes and we have 2 more to go, so we're almost done.
Great. Thank you, Kaylee. And Kelsey.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Buckwater. I am also in the Curriculum and Instruction Master's Program with a track in alternative education. I also teach in Williamsport School District, and I also teach K-3 autistic support. I did my undergraduate through Lock Haven as well, and I think that's about it.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you. And then we will kick off a presentation. And then afterwards, after the presentation is over from our faculty here, we will be moving into an open Q&A with our current students. So I think tonight should be a great opportunity to preview your experience in the program. But I think as you're looking at grad school, typically the first question that people are going to have is, why do I want to go back to grad school? Is it going to be worth the time? Is it going to be worth the effort? Essentially, Dr. Hosley's, what would be your answer to that? Why would someone who's working in education want to go back to get a master's degree in curriculum instruction?
Well, okay, not to state the obvious is they're all required to. They all need a, which, not that, I mean, we all want to go on and continue with professional development, but all teachers are required to get their level 2 cert. So with getting that level 2 cert, you are able to gain skills and knowledge to better be teacher leaders in the classroom, develop curriculum, work with students, and then also get a pay raise when you get your master's degree. So, and I think the master's degree in curriculum instruction allows you, and we'll talk about that as we move on, to kind of look at different tracks and pathways that you may want to choose that better fit your needs in terms of where you're teaching or what classroom you're in.
No, and that's a good answer. You need it. And I think our program certainly has a lot to offer, and that gets us into just from a high level overview for any prospective students where this may be their first time learning about their program, their first interaction with our Masters in Curriculum and Instruction. Would you be able to give us a high level overview?
Yeah, the things that we see as really, really attractive about the program. First off, it's available 100% online. That's important for a lot of students because our students are generally teachers or counselors, and they are busy people, and the classes in this program, in the alternative ed track in particular, are asynchronous online courses. And then there are synchronous courses. There's a combination because there's a core of 4 courses that some are async and some are synchronous depending on the semester. The synchronous courses tend to be Zoom courses that are online, and you meet 1 day a week. That's generally the format for them. So that's important to know. The 100% online is attractive for a lot of prospective students. And Dr. Jessica mentioned that you all need to earn 24 required credits for your instructional 2 licensure. And certainly that's a highlight because you can earn those in this program. And we all want to move toward being a master teacher at some point, and this program really focuses on that, and it focuses a lot on a combination of really leadership, curriculum, and working with your track, then whatever specific track you would choose. Becoming a leader in your school is always important, and through participating in this program, you not only become a leader just in general because you learn a lot about leadership in the curriculum, but you can really focus on being a curriculum leader in your school, which we see as important. And depending upon the track or concentration, there are certain certifications available or an add-on area of licensure.
Yeah, I think that the customizable aspects of this degree, I think, is what makes our because there's other universities that offer this degree. I think for our program, again, the flexibility that it provides through the course delivery and then the additional specialties that are built into the program, I would imagine is going to be an important part for students who are considering the program. And I know we've already talked a lot about tracks. Would you be able to walk us through some of the options, Dr. Hosley?
Yes, and I will go over these briefly because one of the things, if you have more interest in one of the tracks and you apply to the program, I could meet with you one-on-one to give you the specific course titles and and really outline it more in detail. The alternative ed track, I'll come back to that. Nate, I'll let Dr. Hazy, talk about that. We have one, a social, emotional, and behavioral wellness endorsement that comes out of the special ed department, and that just some of the courses, I'm going to use my cheat sheet here a little bit. Some of the courses are human growth and development, positive behavior supports, trauma and informed practices in schools, and then an internship in special ed. And when you finish that track, that actually leads to an endorsement from PDE, and that is something that some students want, and they will get those credentials. The internship in special ed, the coordinator of that track works with you so that you can complete your internship in the place of where you're working. The English as a second language, that's a certification. So after you finish that track, you can sit for the Pennsylvania exam and get your certification, your ESL certification. Some of those courses include basics of language and culture, cultural awareness and sensitivity, assessment and supportive services. You have a field experience in communicational and educational strategies for English language learners. at the so that's an actual certification. Some of these like Dr. Osley said are certifications, some will be certificates, some are endorsements. So the e-learning specialist certificate is not a certification, it's a certificate. And that's really for someone who is really interested in technology or getting an e-learning specialist certificate that's given from Bloom after you complete the sequence of courses. And that you would meet with the coordinator of that program, and she will put together a list of courses that best fit your need. We have a student who's he's a computer teacher, and he thought that this was the best fit for him. So some of the courses you can take in that are online course design, intro to authoring, instructional design, multimedia productions, advanced authoring, introduction to web design. And then when you complete those courses and you graduate, you would get that certificate. And then finally, we have an interest-based track, and that's if you meet with your advisor and you feel like those tracks above, none of them really fit, and you want to put together your own. I will tell you, we don't have many people that do that because they see the others and see it, you know, as like a good pathway for them. But to go back up to the, and all of those, I could provide more detail for you. My contact information's at the end, but if I talked about each track, we would be here forever. So I'll let Nate just jump in real quick and talk about the alternative ed one briefly.
Okay, yeah, our alternative ed track is clearly our most popular track with a large number of students really in that track as we've developed it over the last couple of years. And it's a great combination of leadership, curriculum courses, and at-risk student issues. So the coursework looks like some of the course names, for example, are classroom environment, where we really explore what are ideal classroom environments and how can we create those for our students. Another course is cognition, motivation, and social skills. We have a course called Projects, Readings, and Case Studies. That is a course where you have an opportunity to really take a look at an issue that you want to explore that is of professional interest to you and create a project out of it or a series of readings. But it really is you direct what you will study that semester in the projects, readings, and case studies. And then there's a topics in education course where each semester we take a look at a topic in education that is of interest in general, but also specifically oftentimes to at-risk students. And finally, there's a theory and practice course as well. I can tell you that one of the most exciting things that can happen for most teachers and counselors is having a breakthrough with a kid that's struggling. And this, you know, sometimes kids struggle for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's motivation, sometimes it's home life, sometimes it's, you know, any number of other factors. But this is a curriculum where you have an opportunity anyhow to take a real close look at what those issues are and what good strategies are to break through with those kids who are struggling in the classroom. And not just, not in terms of special ed necessarily, but in terms of, like I say, other issues, whether it's economic or motivation or what have you. One of the things that we really think is important is that I just take the area of motivation since I mentioned that already. We try very hard to hit on issues and topics of interest to teachers that really were not a focus in undergraduate school. So motivation being one of those, there are very few undergraduate programs in the nation that talk much at all about motivation for learning. And yet we're making careers for teachers, and it's a very, very important issue. So we explore that in some great detail in this program. But again, just to kind of wrap up with the alternative ed track, we really pride ourselves on having you be the center of that track. That
Mhm.
what are your areas of interest? What do you want to explore? And we do have content that we cover, like the motivation, like some social skills issues and the classroom environment issues. But for much of that track, you get to direct what are the areas that you want to explore, and how best are you able to explore them through doing projects, through doing a research paper, through doing some kind of a case study. You know, you have a lot of alternatives in the alternative ed track.
Mhm. No, that's very helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then the coursework overview. And I know this is probably one of the things that people will want to know the more, more about is what am I taking? What's the courses? What are the expectations for classes? Dr. Halsey, would you be able to walk us through the curriculum?
Yeah, those are the 4 courses that no matter which track or pathway you pick, those are the 4 core courses that you'll take, and those are offered synchronously and asynchronously. So for, as you see, data-driven decisions, school law, ethics and finance, curriculum theory and design, educational research and writing. And those, Dr. Hazy, I know you've taught data-driven decisions and educational research and writing, so you could add a little to that. I know Dr. Starmack teaches school law, ethics, and finance, and that's the one class where students are like, oh, I don't know about that class, but then they take it and they've had such a great experience. It's so informative. Dr. Starmack does an incredible job making the issues relevant to what teachers need to know and how they can apply that knowledge. Really, really important critical issues. The curriculum theory and design course I teach, and that is really, what curriculums are out there, and the theory behind those curriculums and how they were designed and how teachers can implement them in the classroom to best meet the needs of students. And then Dr.
So
Again, you've taught the other 2.
yeah, so those titles are a little scary for some students. So I just want to do away with any fear that someone might have about a course called education research or a course called data-driven decisions. They're really practical courses. We focus on you. What are your interests? What do you collect data on in school every day? What are the important areas that you can be looking at in terms of driving your decision making with data and how to collect it? Those are the issues in that course. And then research and writing is really, I facilitate learning the process a little bit about how you write a research paper and how you go about it. But you choose the topic, you choose the area of inquiry, and you take off with it. And it's so it's really, again, student centered for those 2 courses.
And would you be able to talk a little bit about the difference in expectations between an undergraduate level course and a graduate level course? Like for someone who maybe is coming right out of completing their undergrad degree or just recently did it, what are some of the difference again in the way the classes are facilitated and in the expectations of the faculty? Can you take us deeper into that topic?
So yes, and then if it maybe then too at the end, the students that we have here could say really the difference. In the program, I think at the undergrad level, it's a lot of you take tests and quizzes, and at the graduate level, you really learn to develop and analyze your own ideas through papers and projects. There we have great discussions. A lot of group work takes place, so you get to work and with students that are in other programs or in other tracks in some of the courses. So it really gives you a good idea of what other teachers or leaders are doing in their classroom. But it really, I think, enhances your skill set as a teacher in terms of taking what you've learned in theory and then being able to apply it into practice within your classroom.
Yeah, it seems like the graduate school, the way the academics work is, especially working with faculties, it's more of um, it's like a peer-to-peer type relationship, right? Or a colleague to colleague maybe is a better way to look at it too. Um, Right, and you know, Dr. Haas, I know you did a great job of kind of taking us through some of the individual courses, especially the core required courses that every student's going to take regardless of their track. But you know, as we get to the Q&A, I know we'll ask Rachel and Kaylee and Kelsey about some of their class experiences, which I'm sure have all been very, very popular and productive. And the high impact experiences. What are some of the experiences that are built into the degree that are they capstones? Are they teaching internships? Like what do those experiences look like?
So in some of the tracks where there's an internship in special ed or professionalism and field experience, though that you will be working very closely with the instructor of the course to work through that internship and complete the coursework and the hours needed in that track or pathway.
Mhm.
Also, one of the things that's really neat in these courses is when you meet individually with faculty, you really get to kind of discuss some of the things that you want to learn more about in your classroom or design. And so you have some of that expertise from a wide range of the professors that teach in the different tracks and in the program. And then really we try to always keep our courses updated with the current trends, what's the latest out there, what students that need to know. There's, you know, when legislation comes out and standards are changing or there's new initiatives, we really, as a team, make sure that what we have in our courses is relevant and meaningful to what teachers are doing in the classroom.
And then job outlook. I know this, you know, not only goes into you know, what the future of the career would look like, but also why someone would want to go and advance their career and get a master's of curriculum and instruction. But what does the future of teaching look like? I know that's a tough question to answer.
Well, honestly, it looks bright. The future looks really bright. I know that there's a lot going on in education right now in terms of uh, what's being talked about at the federal level, but really most education occurs at the local and state levels. And the job outlook is really, really good. There's a large number of retirements. There's a lot in terms of people who have left the field in the last, say, 8 to 10 years. And there are a lot more opportunities right now than there were in previous years. And uh, I think there's an opportunity too with the master's degree for job movement, job opportunities for advancement with your master's degree. So whether it's in the curriculum area or some administrative area, what have you, your master's degree certainly supports you not only in getting that raise for your teaching job, your current teaching job, but then in terms of placing you in a leadership position within a district.
Now, and you always hear a lot nowadays about the teacher shortage, and that's very real. So teachers are definitely going to be in high demand for sure. Yep. And then the fun stuff, the application and the admission process. What are we looking for in a qualified applicant?
So I will tell you this area, Tom and Rachel, when Rachel and Tom, any email you send to them, you get a really quick reply, but they're the ones really who help with the application process, and it is such a quick turnaround, and they're so willing to help. So I know this from, you know, being familiar with other application processes. This is really streamlined and easy. Their team has worked together, and Tom, you know, you're always trying to, what's an easier way for students? How do we make this easier? And so each time we talk about this, it's always a seamless process. So there's an online application, there's an application fee. And if you meet or talk with one of a representative and you mark it on the online application, the fee is waived. So, that's really something to keep in mind. Any of you listening in or hearing this now or later, if you view this, make sure you check that box so the application fee is waived. Your official college transcripts can be uploaded, and they make it so easy. If you're an alum, if you're from Mansfield, Bloom, or Lock Haven, and you note that, they'll pull your transcripts, undergrad transcripts for you, which really makes it easy. One letter, we actually worked on this. We had 3 letters of recommendation, but we worked on this to make it easier to have one letter of a recommendation to complete, and you would upload that. Actually, a link is sent to whoever you request to write your letter of recommendation for you, and they submit that letter of recommendation, your resume, a brief statement of goals. And when we say brief, a short paragraph of what your goals are for this graduate program, not a long paper, just very brief, your goals. You can kind of highlight, what you want to do in the program, and your overall goal, is to get your master's degree. And then your current PA instructional certificate. Those are what's required, and it really is a seamless process. The only thing I would note is when you do have the one letter of recommendation and you ask your principal or someone to submit that for you, I always tell them to check their junk email, or because sometimes that link may go to that, or they're not aware of it. So sometimes that's the last thing that we're waiting on. And so it's just a reminder of them, to let them know to check to see, if it went there. So I don't know, Tom, you do a lot of that. Do you have anything that I'm missing?
No, Dr. Hawley, I think you covered a lot of it. Yeah, again, for anyone who's watching us, joining us live or watches the recording of the video, yes, your application fee will be waived. All you have to do is answer yes to the very last question on the application. Dr. Hawley is referring to my colleague Rachel, who is our IT manager, and does tremendous work, who you will probably hear from or work with at some point throughout the application process. She's awesome. We accept applications for the spring, the summer, and the fall semesters as well. So regardless of the semester that you're looking to start, I know we typically have some cohorts beginning. But either way, I think that kind of covers the application and admission process. Here is Dr. Hosley's contact information. And I should say both Dr. Hosley's and myself, we work for you throughout the course of this process. So if you do have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are certainly more than happy to help in any way we can. However, that does end the presentation part, and that gets us to one of or I should say not one of, but the next part of the event, which is going to be the Q&A with our current students in the program. So if you are watching live and if you have any questions for Rachel or Kaylee or Kelsey, please, if you could put them in the Q&A or the chat, and I will relay those questions to them. Or if you have any questions for either of Dr. Hosley's, we can also answer those questions as well. But just to kind of get us going here, would you be able to talk about your experience in the program while working full time? I'm sure there are some students who may be considering our program and wondering, how am I going to balance working full time, having a personal life, and then also balancing graduate school? What does a normal week look like? I know no 2 weeks are ever the same, but how many hours are you dedicating to school? What nights do you have class? That kind of thing may be informative for any prospective students. Rachel, could you kick us off?
Yes, I have kind of have an interesting beginning to getting my master's degree. I originally started at Westchester University. I took 2 classes there in the fall of 2023. It was like a second full-time job, and it was hard for me to really learn and grasp concepts because I was worried about the grades and doing things for work, and it was a lot. And so then I reached out to Dr. Hosley and I said, listen, I'm interested in your program, but I want to be in a program where I'm going to learn, I'm going to have time to focus on my job, still dedicate time to this, and connect the two. And she said, we talked a lot about it, and she said, I think it'd be a good fit. I started in the spring of 2024, and I will tell you, it is a completely different experience. It's much more collaborative. The things that we're doing apply to exactly what I'm doing in the classroom. And the time commitment, I'm always worried about having time to do all the different things, and I'm always worried about everything. And honestly, I will say, the classes that are asynchronous, of course, that's just like on you to have that, work ethic to get it done when you need to get it done. But nothing is, that overwhelming. And this semester, I have school law every Monday night, and Dr. Nate Hosley, we have data-driven decisions, and we meet every other Thursday on Zoom. So going into it, I was nervous and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do it. But it really, the time you're spending on Zoom is impactful. You're having conversations that connect everything that you're reading. Everything makes sense. It's not like you're doing work just to do it. And so I think that's been really great. And yeah, so far, I mean, we're in March already, and I'm cool as a cucumber, and that's not how I feel usually. So I will say it's been really great.
That's great. Thank you, Rachel. Kaylee.
So I also started pursuing my master's through Westchester, and I agree. It was a pretty heavy workload on top of working full time. So truly making the switch has been a lot better and a lot easier to manage. And I will add on to that, even though like all three of us are currently taking data driven decisions and the special ed, school law and all of that as well. And at first we were going to be like, we thought we were going to be overwhelmed with having Zooms and like all of that, but it's actually much more manageable. And I think that even having like the Zoom sessions, like taking both of those classes together is super manageable. And also too, like these professors are lovely, so if you need an extension on something, they're more than willing to work with you too. So if you have personal things going on or work things going on, they're always willing to work with you in your schedule. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And it's honestly really easy to balance everything. There are a lot of options, kind of like a you choose track. So whether it's you get to pick an article and review it, a case study, things like that. So it's more geared towards your needs and kind of what you can apply yourself in your classroom, and things like that as well. And I'll give personal input. So, like, I teach full time. I also tutor 2 days a week, and I have two classes that I'm currently taking, and I don't feel overwhelmed or I feel like I can't get things done. But I also know too that if I ever do feel that way, I know that I'm able to reach out to any of the professors and know that they'll work with me and be flexible with meeting deadlines and getting projects done as well.
Yeah, no, it's a supportive environment for sure. And Kelsey.
Okay, so you're going to notice a lot of common trends, but I also started out at Westchester.
Oh, okay. Wow.
It's similar to what both of them said. Now they both took two classes starting out. I only took one. And even that one class is still more stressful than the two classes I'm taking now, which again are the data driven and the school law.
Mhm.
And kind of like Kaylee, along with teaching full time, I also coach swimming. And if you've ever swam or done a high intensity sport, it requires a lot of time. So I'm at practices before school and I'm at practices after school, and about every weekend is taken up. But it still has not been overwhelming. And I will admit I'm a procrastinator, which I'm not proud of, but I am still doing fine and I'm still not feeling overwhelmed. And I also like Kaylee and Rachel both touched on, the professors are wonderful. And, I have reached out to, I think, pretty much every professor that I've had so far and had something come up and they've been okay with it. I think last summer I emailed Dr. Hosley as I was about to board a plane and I said, I'm on my way to Montana. Like, I forgot classes. We had a class this week and she said, it's totally fine. Like I'll catch you up, or we'll figure it out. So they are really very understanding. And even, obviously we knew the Hosleys a little bit from undergraduate, but we have Dr. Starmack this year, and he's a professor I didn't know at all. And I was very nervous to email him about some conflicts with swimming and that kind of stuff. And he worked it out right away. So, I mean, they're very understanding. And like you said earlier, it's more of a almost like colleague relationship. Like there's not so much of that, like I'm in charge of you as there is in undergrad. And it's a lot more understanding. Like if you say I have a lot going on with work this week, can I have like an extension on a project? Most professors are really willing to do that, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes a big difference. That yeah, the social fabric of the program is very strong for sure. So as you're looking at, first of all very interesting answers and all very similar as well. As you're looking at the program, you've probably taken a number of different classes so far. What has been your favorite class so far and why? Rachel.
That's a tough question. I feel like a lot of them, kind of correlate with each other and um, make the understanding as a whole a lot easier. Now, I'm surprised by myself by saying this answer is the school law course that we're taking
Mm,
with Dr. Starmack was um, one that I was again worried about. That's it's a heavy topic. It's a lot that goes along with it. But I think what's so important about that is when we're talking about the current issues that are going on in the
mhm,
country, state, and at a district level, and we're talking about things that are happening now and how the things that are currently happening are affecting our students. And also it just gives us as teachers a better understanding of the things go along with school law, so we are able to be the best educators that we can be, and
mhm.
we're following all of those laws and making sure that we're doing things with fidelity. So I don't think I would have given you that answer. I think the learning aspect of that, of learning new things, has been great about that. Um, but the classes with both the Dr. Hosley's, there's a lot of freedom in there for discussions and articles and to talk about things that you typically wouldn't. So at my position as an autistic support teacher, we we have a curriculum kind of that we don't necessarily have to follow. So it's hard, if we have a question, in Dr. Harsley's class, it was, what curriculum are you using? And I reached out to her and I said, well, we don't necessarily have a set curriculum. And, she said, okay, just do and talk about whatever you're doing in your classroom. You can use bits and pieces of the curriculum you're using and talk about the researches that you've made and what you're using with your kids. So it it's not a one size fits all, and you make it work for you, which is important because I don't want to spend time doing a discussion or a paper on something that really doesn't apply to me or my students. And so I've been able to make that all connect, which has been really helpful. So yes, I would say school law, but really all of them. I think I'm just saying that maybe because I'm in it right now and it's interesting it's new, but all of them have been great. Can't say that there's one I haven't loved. So
Well, and Rachel, you probably wouldn't know this, but we've done a number of these virtual events for our programs in education. It seems like school law is a required class for a number of programs. And normally when I ask this question to other students, they almost universally say school law, and they normally give a very similar response to the one you just provide. Like it was kind of intimidating going into the class because like this is very different than what I'm used to. You don't think of school laws as part of the job of an educator, but then they get into the class and they love it. So that's really cool to hear. Kaylee.
I would also agree with the school law class. I just think like it's kind of it puts a lot of things into perspective and kind of seeing like how things actually work and should flow type of thing. So kind of seeing that, as well as we kind of tie in a lot of like current events as well into that class.
Mhm.
So like we kind of look at what's happening right now, in the education world and in like kind of like the law aspects of things as well. So we're able to kind of evaluate that. How can we apply it? What can we learn from if it's something that maybe didn't go as planned? But I think a close second for me was also like the topics of alternative education class, just because it kind of hones things together and it really introduces like the actual kind of like coursework and the track work with the alternative education track. And I think for me, I actually learned a lot there because I think there was a lot of kind of like stereotypes or things that I had in my head of what I thought alternative education was, and it kind of broke that off and was able to kind of still apply things to my daily classroom and my routine as well, without actually being, having those at-risk students or being in an actual like alternative education setting. So I find that super helpful too, but I will pretty much second everything that Rachel said. There's a lot of different pieces that I feel like tie in with this track, and it's super collaborative too, which is always nice. So, you know, I never feel like I'm alone or like floating on an island by myself either. So it's nice to have support not only from the professors but also from others in the class too. So that's also like another thing, and that goes for all of the classes that I've had so far. So there hasn't been one where I felt like I've been like stranded alone or not knowing what I'm doing. So it's just helpful to have that support system in place as well.
Great answer. Thank you. And Kelsey.
Okay, so I also like the law class. I don't want to like not say that I don't like that class. I do really like it. And honestly, there have been a lot of things that I feel like we've gone over and I've kind of been like, wow, like how could I have gone through my teaching career and not known this was a thing or this was a law? And, so it is really interesting to hear about those things. I also really liked the cognition, motivation, and I think it's social skills class. I took that last fall, and kind of like Dr. Hosley said earlier, motivation is a thing that maybe you've kind of heard of, or maybe like, it's something that you hear in a professional development in school, but it's not really something that you dive deeper into. And in an autistic support classroom, social skills and motivation, things like that are super important. So that was something that like I really was able to take a lot out of that and apply it right to my class. And like they both said, it's hard to pick a favorite because there hasn't really been one where I'm like, oh my goodness, I have this class tonight. Like I can't get through it. And even though we have, this is kind of like off topic, but even though you have those classes where you have to get on your Zoom and it says it's from like 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, most of the professors understand that you've been working all day and they know, you might be a little tired. So either they'll let you off early or the classes are so collaborative or so informative that you don't even realize like what time has passed. So like it might seem like a daunting kind of task when you're applying for the class and you're thinking this is, every Monday from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock and you're like dreading it. It really isn't that bad. And you do get to kind of talk through things and it's more of like a conversation than just a lecture where you're taking notes. Like Dr. Hosley's class, we're constantly tuning in and he's asking us questions about things. It doesn't feel like he's talking at us. It feels like we're talking with him. So that's not really what you asked me, but I would say the cognition class has had a lasting impact on me.
No, that's very helpful though, and also too. So both Dr. Hosley's, Dr. Starmack, who was referenced earlier, they're former educators who have been in the field for a long time. Oftentimes, they're not telling you what they think; they're telling you what they know based on their own experience. And we're again not that far removed from. They were the ones who were getting their master's and their doctorate degree while balancing teaching and in their other responsibilities. So I think there's some degree of grace there. So that's always certainly very appreciated. And actually for Dr. Hosley's, I know we had talked, so I know for Rachel, Kaylee, and Kelsey, they're working full time. But not all of our students are going to be full-time employees. Some of them may be full-time grad students, just completed their bachelor's degree or they're going back to school. How would the experience differ? I'm assuming, the courses are still going to be delivered at night, asynchronously. Do you find that you have a good amount of students that are full-time graduate students and are doing this before they enter the workforce?
Um, the majority are full-time teachers in the classroom and then taking the courses. We have a couple that are full-time graduates, but the majority of the students in the program are teaching and in the classroom. But like you said, the courses are offered at night. So whether you're working full-time, wherever you're working, the classes are 5 and beyond, so it gives you enough time, and they're synchronous, asynchronous, and it fits nicely with um, people that are working. And then, also if you are going full time and you choose to take more classes, you have that option also.
Excellent, excellent. And I know earlier we had mentioned the cohort possibility. Dr. Housley, how does that typically work? Is it something that you do often for students? And can you explain what we mean when we say cohort?
So I really did this based on, it was really the three that are here that kind of got me thinking, why aren't we doing this more? and they've all worked closely together. They were coming from another institution, and one of the things they said is, you know, we just wish that we could be in a program where we can design our course sequence where we can take our classes together, because then there's more collaboration. And I just thought that was like, well, why aren't we doing that? So really, we have small cohorts that just meet with their advisor, meet with me or meet with Dr. Hosley, and they just can set the courses to take together. Now we have track sheets in the program, so you can when we meet with you initially, we ask, you know, how many you want to take in the spring, how many you want to take in the fall and or the summer, and kind of put that sequence together so that, you know, really a lot of times we plan out your whole graduate courses in that sequence track sheet so that you can come together as a cohort. And I would tell you, except for one instance, all three of these ladies have stayed together and worked together. And the projects that they turn in and the collaboration, so they collaborate within their school on what's due or how they're looking at things. So not only are they getting to do the coursework together online, but they're also able to collaborate. I know they meet sometimes in their school or Zoom together or text together just to kind of have a stronger collaboration. And but there's others that are in other schools, like I have 3 students in one school that said, can we do this together and stay in sync in terms of the classes that we take together. And it's really not a difficult fit, and it's popular, and it also helps in collaboration, because they oftentimes pull in other teachers and say, hey, we're taking this class, it's in the graduate program, and it's a way to kind of bring other teachers in and to mentor them too. Like, I know that Kelsey, Rachel, and Kaylee have all talked to teachers in their school that this is maybe a good fit for you, and they give them information and they connect with them. But they're great ambassadors and for the program and recruiting, because they just as they've said, it's a good fit. But the cohort, they were the 3 that really kind of said, if we apply, can we do this? And it was like, yes. So it's great. I will tell you, and Dr. Hazy would say this, we learn just as much from our students in turn. We try to impart, what we know and our experiences, but I would tell you that I absolutely never take for granted what we learn from the students that come in and the different things that are going on with them and in their classroom, and also different ways to like the cohort model and to do some of that. And I know they're all talking whether they'll walk together at graduation, if they're not going to walk together, if they're, so even that was something that was important. So it's just it's just something that I think you like, you have that personal relationship.
That's
One of
great.
the, one of the things I would add to that, so far the few cohorts that we've had, they've been small, usually 3 or 4 students, and so far each one of those cohorts has been 2 courses at a time. So we don't have a lot of experience yet with 3 courses, like you were mentioning, the full-time grad student. We don't have a lot of experience yet with full-time cohorts, but we think we've been able to bend to meet the needs of our students, whether it's 1 course or 2 course or 3 course so far. And I would think that we can accommodate a full-time cohort of students as easily as we've done with the 2 courses at a time.
We'd like
But
to, like Nate said, we'd like to build on that, to have more
yeah,
and do that in the schools. So because it seems to be a good fit.
Yeah, it creates kind of again, it strengthens that bond there and then the social fabric. But it's, hey, I mean, graduate school, working in an K through 12 environment, it's oftentimes it's a team sport, right? And you have to, learn to kind of operate as part of a team. I think that's a great example of that. I know 2 common questions we normally get. I just wanted to address. One is, are GREs required for admission? They're not. So we do not require the GREs to be considered for admission, and you have to have prior teaching experience in order to apply and be admitted to the program, Dr. Hosley. Is that something you could speak to?
You don't need, one of the things, and I'm glad you brought that up, you don't need GREs to be accepted into the program. Also, if you're in a situation, we don't, we have a teaching certificate required, but there are some individuals that we look at on a case-by-case basis that may just want their master's degree in curriculum and instruction, but that aren't teaching, but looking to do or enter jobs dealing with, designing curriculum, designing instruction. And so we do work with students that may not have a teaching cert and they don't plan to be teaching, but that want a master's degree in curriculum and instruction.
Yeah, just two examples of that I came to mind. Uh, Business people, some who are interested in the training and development area of their business, have sought our degree in the past, and so they don't come in with a teaching certificate. Um, obviously, there's an advantage to it if you're a teacher, no matter whether you're in a correctional setting, an alternative setting, a charter setting, or a regular setting. If you come with the instructional one, all of these credits are going to help you get your level 2 certification. So obviously it's an advantage, but we're not real strict about it. It really depends on the professional goals that each student has.
Great, thank you. And then one of our final questions here for our current students here, do you have any advice on how to successfully navigate this? Any parting advice for students who may be considering the program? Rachel.
So I guess, I mean, from what you've been able to gather from Kelsey, Kaylee, and I, I feel like maybe in some ways we're a little bit of an anomaly. We went to undergraduate together. We've stayed close friends. Kelsey and I work in the same district. Kaylee comes to my house at least once a month. They're both in my wedding in June. So it's very close knit. And what I would recommend, and you've heard us say, we all started at Westchester, which at the time it felt appropriate with our jobs in special ed. We said, okay, let's do it together because grad school, it is scary. And I was fearful of entering into something all of my own and, not having the support of people I've had through undergraduate school. So it worked out great for us to start at the same time, to be at the same place. And as we've had the same experience at Westchester, which totally drove us to Commonwealth, which was such a blessing. And the three of us being able to collaborate and talk about everything and text each other right after the class and be like, is this what we're doing? Is this what is due here? It's made it feel no different than, and it's different than undergrad, but it's very manageable. It's yeah, I don't know, it's nothing that I expected, and you don't know anything background about me, but I am probably one of the most on edge, anxious, stressed people. Like everything, I just like doomsday almost. That's what I say. I'm like everything is worse, everything, but truly it has been such a great experience, and I can't believe that I'm, almost through the program. But I would say if you have a friend or two that you did undergraduate with or you're teaching with at your school, and you're both looking to get into a program, curriculum and instruction, it really is so broad. It covers so many things that there's a piece that works for everyone, which is so important. And I think you should just do it and do it with, a group of people. And yeah, just the community involvement of it's so great. So I would recommend it 100 times over again. It's been really great.
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Thank you. Kaylee.
I agree with a lot of what Rachel said. It definitely is helpful to have like friends and colleagues and the support of the professors as well, because it really does make a difference and it really does help. And I feel like it's definitely important to keep in mind that it shouldn't feel like an extra full-time job or like you're working two jobs. Like it really should be there to help you and make you a better educator. And I feel like that's exactly what this program and this track does specifically, just because, like I said earlier, like you never feel like you're stranded on an island. There's always people there to support you. So it's definitely nice having two of like my really close friends with me, and now getting to do graduate studies since we went to undergrad together. But I will say too that I've also made other connections with like people in the classes. So even if you don't have a tight-knit group or you only have one or two people, I will say that everyone is collaborative, everyone's willing to work. Everyone for the most part, I feel like I've experienced takes it seriously. So if you're worried about someone not kind of being there for the right reasons, I feel like that's not the case in the graduate studies, which is also helpful. So even if you don't have, or you feel like you don't have a strong connection, I guarantee you'll make those connections with others and with the professors as well. And I honestly feel like in undergrad, it was, it kind of, I think the Hosleys touched on this earlier, like more quizzes and more tests and preparing you. And now it really is just kind of like one big discussion. So they talked about how like they learn from us just as much as we learn from them. And I
Mhm.
feel like that puts it into a good perspective because we really do all learn together and we collaborate and we're able to share our teaching experiences now and kind of comparing them to their teaching experiences and being able to put them together. So it really is just one big collaboration with everyone, professors included.
I could just add to that real quick. You struck a chord with me that I hadn't mentioned earlier. And one of the advantages of online and the way we do online at Commonwealth is the um, idea of the collaborative environment, but the idea also of diversity of thought. We have people from all different kinds of school districts, rural school districts, semi-urban, urban, you know, poor school districts and rich school districts. I mean, we really have diversity. Now, most of it's within Pennsylvania right now. Uh, Only a few out of state students. But the truth is there's a lot of diversity in Pennsylvania. And that comes through in those discussions that you were talking about, Kaylee. I mean, that really comes out whether you're in a breakout room working on a project or you're in a lecture discussion. So I just want to bring that up as well.
Yeah, the diversity of thought is that's a big one too. Yeah, it's a free exchange of ideas too in the courses, and I think that's really important. Absolutely. And Kelsey.
So I think both of them made really good points. Doing it together has definitely been really helpful. So if you have those friends that are even debating, doing their master's program, reel them in, bring them in with you. It's so much more fun to do it with people that you already know. But like Kaylee also touched on, and like we were just saying, you still meet a lot more people too. And the people that you meet are they have very different thoughts, but also have the same kind of drive. Like I haven't met somebody yet in my class that's not pulling their weight in a project. We're all there for the same reasons, and we're all there to do what we need to do. Also, along with that, I remember calling Dr. Hosley whenever we first started thinking of transferring, and I talked to her and I said, I don't really know curriculum and instruction. It's like not my thing. I don't really know that this is going to work out. And she, calmed me down. She said, you're going to get a well-rounded education. And, we kind of talked through it, and really she was right. It's not, it might seem intimidating and it might seem like a very small minded kind of like program, but it's really not. I mean, we're learning about law right now. We learned about motivation. There are classes that we still have yet to take that I've, read things about and heard things about from other people. And you get such a well-rounded education that even though you can go on to do leadership roles, or you can still teach, or we have counselors that are in some of our classes. Like you don't have to necessarily want to be a principal or a curriculum writer to take this program. You can be a teacher and just learn more about education, and like Kaylee said, how to be a good teacher. And I think that was something that was really important to me, because I was a little nervous about the program at first. I wasn't sure if it was going to be my cup of tea, but like everyone has said the whole time, they really tailor the education to meet your needs and to meet your interests. So even though that wasn't an interest at first, I couldn't imagine being in a different program. and coworkers that I have at school that have taken different programs all over. I talk to them about things that I'm doing and they're like, oh, wow, that sounds like really beneficial. And I'm like, it is. And they talk about theirs and I'm like, that doesn't sound so beneficial, but it's been really cool to be able to work with friends, meet new people, and also, benefit from the education that I'm getting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Kelsey. Dr. Hosley, do you guys have any final parting thoughts for anyone who may be considering the program before we sign off?
I just to say, I think these ladies kind of are a great testament to what the program's about. And they gave such good advice and just common sense, knowledge-based information for you if you're thinking about applying and coming to Commonwealth U. We're more than willing to have a Zoom invite if you contact me or Dr. Hosley to talk more about the program one-on-one. But we are here to help and support and kind of see you through your graduate degree. I mean, we are very excited to see our graduates move through the program and learn new information that's going to impact the students in the classroom. And that's kind of what it's all about, I think, in education, is to continue to impact those that we work with. So we try to have a very positive impact on our students, but like I said, our students have a really positive impact on us. And we just, we would welcome you to apply, to inquire, and see if it's a good fit for you.
Thank you.
The only other thing that I would add, you all covered it very well, but there are a number of students that come out of this program that are interested in doctoral work, and it's a good program to set you up for doctoral work. And I can explain, it take me a long time to explain it, but it really is the background that you get. I think Kelsey hit it. It's well-rounded. It's research, it's data, but it's also curriculum. It's also, working with that risk. It's the broad breadth of the program really serves you well for a doctoral program. So I would just add that.
No, that is a great point. That is a great point. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who is watching, whether you joined us live or you're watching the recording. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it, and we look forward to hearing from everybody in the future. So have a great night.
Thank you.